Computer. Okay. Recording is in progress. All right. Leslie, you want to take us off? Take us
Yeah,
away.
if I can get my computer to work. Hi. So we all know what it's like to feel fear. We all know what it's like to go along with the masses. We all know what it's like to be in a comfort zone. We all know what it's like to have a blanket over us, feeling like we can't get past something, we can't get above a certain level. You'll never be this, you'll never be that. And those are all the voices of Seth, what Seth is talking about, Seth Godin in the Icarus Deception from 2012. He talks about how Icarus takes off with his wings and was told not to fly too high or he was going to fall. And basically he did. But in the book, he talks about nobody told him to fly too low either. So, um, listening to people telling you how far you can go, listening to people tell you how low you can go, all that stuff is what prohibits us from creating art. And everything can be artistic. We can create art in a million different ways. And I feel like a lot of us do. Um, as it relates to me personally, I've done a lot of time in prison and I've had a lot of friends recently die from opiate overdoses. And I think about how I was told so many times I would never make it. I was told I would never go back to school, I would never amount to anything, or that I would be dead. And I'm not dead. So when I think about the way we can rise above and create art, for me, it's sobriety and going back to college. And that was my big takeaway from the book. What do you guys think?
That was a really beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. Sorry to hear about all that. Um, I found myself, with personal relations to the book as well. I resonated with most of what is said. Um, Obviously there is danger to hubris and arrogance, but there's a thin line or a thin balance you have to navigate as well. Um, with regards to hubris, because you don't want to be underconfident in yourself or what you're doing. I think one of like the core values that this book portrays or expresses that I believe was like the overarching message or the underlying message or whatever, or the goal of the book was that you have to be confident um, in yourself and what you want to do. And as long as you're passionate about what you're doing, then everything should be fine. Everything should work out for the best, at least like pertaining to like art or your personal life in an ever changing world, like especially right now. Um, Art can be perceived in many ways. Like it not to like hyper fixate on what art traditionally means, like painting or drawing or whatever. That's not what Seth Godin's talking about. He's just talking about like embracing who you are in a general sense, and chasing after your passions. And there's like this little quote too. Like I think I found like a Tumblr or whatever Twitter. It's like about Icarus. It's like um, uh, even though you fell, Icarus, you still flew, and for a moment the sun knew of your name as well. So
Mm.
I mean,
That's a
goes
good
into this
quote.
idea. And it goes into this idea like you had like he tried, he did what most people wouldn't do, and at the very least, he did something that no one else had done. And I think if we all pursue our own passions and we embrace that as a core value of who we are and how we become as leaders, then I think it should be fine. Everything works out in the end.
For me, this book definitely relates to my own life so far. It relates to it more just like socially and more on like the day to day and interaction wise. Because when I first came to Boise State, the first 2 years, I didn't really have like too many friends. I met people in the dorms and stuff like that, but I was always really nervous whenever I went out to like rush fraternities or anything. And the last semester of my sophomore year, I ended up getting a bid from one. And it's just like my entire social aspect, the whole view on everything changed. And I don't think that would have happened without me just trying to fly like as close. I know it's not like a life or death situation like Icarus. Like obviously I'm not gonna die like trying to rush. But if I didn't, see like that goal, like the sun, if I didn't try and fly towards that sun, I would have never been happy I would have never been as happy as I am now with my social life and those who I like call my best friends now, just even over the past year. And so for me, this book really kind of reflected that in my past life or in my past experiences. Because I don't really have like a dream career or anything yet. I'm still exploring, going to the job fairs, taking the opportunities that professors present to me. And so in the future, I'll definitely be able to take away from this, like that idea of the sun and being able to get as close as I can to it and not being worried about being scolded for trying the best I can for something, even if I fail. Because in chapter 3, it talks about how we fly too low if we're
Right.
embarrassed by like the results of our actions. And I think that's kind of how I felt for the first 2 years, like I was talking about before I rushed and really tried to make friends. I was just kind of embarrassed to put myself out there. And like instead of worrying about what if this doesn't work, it's like, well, what if it does work? You know,
Right.
it's like I've seen a lot of like diagrams and pictures on like those motivational Instagram pages and stuff too, where it's not just like a straight road to success. That's what everyone thinks it is. It's like it's got the road, curves off, fail, curves off, fail, curves off, fail, curves off, then it's a success. And I think that's really what the book was trying to show us.
Yeah, kind of touching on that idea of kind of just feeling down and not confident in yourself. I think another like theme in the book was like kind of just combating this idea of shame and
Right.
societal pressures on you. And
Mhm.
again, um, embracing the core value of just pursuing what you're passionate about and staying again, like kind of like what other ideas that we've talked about in class, like authenticity. Like if you're authentic to yourself, you're passionate about what you do, then there should be no reason for you to be ashamed of who you are. And again, being like kind of with your own personal experience, I rushed a frat for a little bit too. And I got admitted, or I got a bid on at Pike when it was just um, when they were still like a colony at BSU. And for a while, like a month or two, like that was kind of my life for a bit. And then I got kicked out for a couple of reasons. um, but I remember that kind of made me unsocial for a bit because as people, as humans, we crave social interaction. We crave social acceptance. And if we don't get those things, if we don't assimilate into our environment or the culture that we're surrounded by, we oftentimes feel ashamed, like we don't belong. But if you are authentic to yourself and you pursue those passions that you are passionate about yourself, then the kind of people that you want surrounding you will come naturally. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that you found like the closest friends that you found or that you have now through that experience.
Yeah, I'm definitely grateful for it. Definitely. Yeah. But
Yeah.
Leslie, if you don't
Yeah.
mind me asking you a question,
Yes.
it will be a little more personal. That's okay.
Mhm.
Um, in terms of your prison experience, um how has that like affected you in your passions and in your desire to do what you want to do, to try and find like something you love? Has that gotten in the way of it?
Mm.
Or has it kind of like
Mhm.
or has it like motivated you almost to prove to yourself or to others that this is not who you are anymore and this is the past, like to show others that you've grown?
So that's such a good question because it's like the whole story of my life. I have 3 kids. I have a 17-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 5-year-old, and I'm a single mom. So, and I lost my kids to the state at one point, and now I have them all back. So, being a mom and realizing that they need me, and that so all the people that I went to prison with, all the people that have done time out here, all the people I grew up with, we've all known each other. We've all ran into each other in jail over and over and over again. And I had to decide if I wanted to continue doing that or if I wanted to rediscover or discover. Like I didn't even know what I liked. I didn't know what I like to do. I didn't know if I liked to bowl. I didn't know if I liked to fish. I didn't know any of that stuff because my whole life was like in the streets. So I had to make that decision. And I had a lot of resistance. I got off social media. I have none. I have no Facebook, no Instagram, none of that.
That's
And
pretty
a
big
lot
for
of
this day and age too.
yeah,
You
and a lot
know,
of people talked a lot of, you know what, about it to me. And I still just fought it that, in the book, they talk about the resistance. Like, I'm not going to be like everybody else. I'm not going to get in the pool so that everybody can reel me back in and try to get me to come to their house or whatever it is, and before I know it, I'm off the wagon. I've lost my kids. I'm back in prison, all this stuff. So it's really significant to me not going along with everybody else and not letting anyone else try to tell me who I am or what will define me as a person. And a lot of you guys because I've been in BSU for 2 years, but like I said, I'm almost 40. A lot of people can't relate to that story because a lot of people come into college right out of high school, and that's just not the case for me. So I always say these things and people are like, wow, that's crazy. Well, I decided that I wanted to get a good career and be able to provide for my kids without having a man support me. I just wanted to do it by myself. So, and I don't know, that's it. But that's definitely how it relates to my life.
sounds like, yeah, it sounds like a lot of the like resilience stuff that they talk about how it's overcoming adversity and
Yeah,
like kind of going through it like again and again, and like how the marketplace will always be creating obstacles for you. And like regardless of like everyone's experience is going to be different, of course, but regardless of how different that experience is, you're never going to be able to completely put yourself in someone else's shoes.
true.
So it's even so like I mean, obstacles for me and Jay are probably not going to
They're just
compare
they're
anything
just
to
different.
something you'd have to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just
But then
different.
then at the same time, it's also like harder for us though, because we haven't had that experience yet. So it's just like it's different and it weighs differently on certain people. So like because of that experience that you talked about and the just the ups and downs that you've had to endure, I'm sure you're going to be able to. I mean, I'm sure without like in a snap decision, you'd be able to deal with some of our hardest like obstacles, some of our hardships that we've had to go through with life, which
Mhm.
is, I think, really something that can be valued. Like everything happens for a reason. Kind of going along with that, like I just feel like because of that, you'd be able to just push through like some of the hardest things I've been through, just with grace and with stride. You know.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
right.
Persistence and resilience are again like another couple core values that I find to be a part of who I am,
Hmm.
um, and a part of this book in general, and a part of what everybody would need to be successful as a leader and as a person within their own lives. Um, like kind of again, I just got to bring it back into other course material stuff, kind of just like this whole idea of getting out of the box. Leslie, like you just talking about your whole life right there for a little bit, that was like a big part of it. Like you kind of just being outside your comfort zone, not really relying on others, or not like, I forgot what the word was, like it starts with a C, not with like, not cooperating. It's like just not,
Conforming?
Codependency.
Is
yeah,
it
that
conforming? Oh,
some, yeah. I mean, that's I think that's a part, like I in essence, yeah. But that kind of general idea of just being who you are, and then kind of just taking the punches, and then regardless of life coming at you, being handed all these lemons, you're still making lemonade. um you're making a life for yourself, and you just keep trying, you just keep pushing. And you guys have reiterated that really well within your own personal lives. And I that was really heartwarming and heartfelt, so that was really great.
thanks. I just want to know too, really quick before we stop. I just want to ask you guys, you guys said that you have social media, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but okay, I get that. But my question to you is, do you find yourself getting wrapped in? Do you ever find yourself getting pulled into it so thick that you ever tell yourself, I need to get off this? Like, this is
Yeah,
horrible. I hate
definitely.
it.
No,
Have you
For
it's
ever gone
definitely
through
sure.
that?
unhealthy.
Mhm.
It's definitely
Yeah.
unhealthy at times for me. I completely rely on how other people perceive who I am rather than how I perceive myself at times. And
Yeah, just
it gets me
waiting for your
down.
phone to
It
go off,
attacks
you
my
know?
self-esteem. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, iffy. I've taken breaks and then I always find myself coming right back to the
Yep.
whole, yeah.
The one I've managed to abstain from is TikTok. I don't have that anymore. That's completely done, which is good because it's just mind numbing. And then I to kind of get around that, like just waiting for the notifications, like you said, or relying on other people to like secure your own ego, I guess. I've turned off like notifications for Snapchat and all that too. And then I just like try not to check Instagram that much if I ever like post something or just share like a post with one of my buddies. I think in our day and age, that's like a huge factor that plays into the shame and like the resistance that brings you down. And we're in like a very supportive time, I feel like, in terms of sexuality, what you look like, um, how your body looks, things like that. And even still, like it's just so ingrained in our like social interactions and our like standard of how we view other people, no matter how far away you get yourself from it, people will still like make up things in the back of their mind. And like even if you uninstall it all, I feel like sometimes that could be worse for those with really bad like body image issues because then like they're making up like the things people would say about them instead of um yeah, I feel like a lot of it can just come from one's own like insecurity. And if they don't have like the supportive comments and like the likes they need without the app, they're just not getting that. They're not getting both sides of the spectrum. And if their insecurity is worse enough, then the like toxic and poisonous stuff can just grow and kind of like build in their back of their head, in the back of their head, even without it like physically happening through the app or anything like that, you know?
Yeah, I
Let
feel
the
that.
dog out.
Well,
Sorry,
I think
guys.
no, you're all good. I think
I
we
tried
touched on
really hard,
everything.
okay?
Nah, you're good. I think we touched on everything that we needed to. Is anyone else
Yeah.
anything else to add?
Yeah, that was really great for me and informative also at the same time. So
All right.
Yeah, that was a good
If there's
talk.
any
Thanks.